The secret of the bird's colors.
Chapter 1. The White World of Birds. Long ago, before the world had the vibrant colors it does today, all birds were pure white. They soared through the sky like floating clouds, their wings shimmering in the sunlight. Whether it was the tiny sparrow or the mighty eagle, each bird had the same pristine feathers, blending seamlessly with the soft mist that covered the forest every morning. The forest itself, however, was a paradise of color. The trees stood tall, their leaves glowing in emerald hues. Flowers of every shade, red, blue, violet, and gold, bloomed in endless fields, filling the air with sweet fragrances. The rivers sparkled under the golden sun, reflecting the beauty of the land. But amidst this stunning world, the birds remained untouched by color, dressed only in white. The birds never questioned their color. To them, white symbolized purity and unity. They lived together in harmony, singing melodies that echoed through the valleys. Yet, deep within the heart of the enchanted forest, an ancient goddess watched over them with gentle eyes. She was the forest goddess, a being of immense power who nurtured all creatures and ensured balance in nature. One evening, as the sun painted the sky in brilliant shades of orange and pink, the forest goddess stood atop a shimmering golden hill. She gazed upon the birds, her heart filled with love. But a thought troubled her. Why should these magnificent creatures remain colorless in a world bursting with hues? Thus, she made a decision. "I shall grant them colors," she whispered to the wind. "But only those who show respect and discipline will receive the most beautiful gifts." That night, as the stars glittered like diamonds in the sky, the forest goddess prepared a grand invitation, a call for all the birds to gather at a sacred meeting. She would bestow upon them vibrant feathers, giving them the beauty they had never known. The next morning, as dawn's first light kissed the treetops, the message spread across the land. The birds, still unaware of what awaited them, eagerly listened to the whispers of the wind. The goddess had spoken. A grand meeting was about to begin. Chapter 2. The Goddess's Grand Invitation. The news of the forest goddess's invitation spread like wildfire. From the highest peaks to the deepest valleys, every bird heard the divine call. The wise old owl, the swift falcon, the gentle dove, and even the tiny hummingbird, all of them paused their daily activities to listen. "The forest goddess is calling us," the elder parrot announced, his voice echoing through the trees. "She wishes to grant us a gift." "A gift?" chirped the robin. "What could be more precious than the sky itself?" "The goddess never calls for no reason," the nightingale said, her voice as melodious as ever. "It must be something grand." Curiosity spread among the birds. They whispered excitedly among themselves, flapping their white wings as they speculated about what awaited them. Some believed it was a blessing of strength. Others thought it might be a song more beautiful than any they had ever sung. Then, as the golden sun rose higher in the sky, the wind carried the final message from the goddess herself. "Come to the heart of the forest at dawn. Do not be late. For those who arrive in time, a great blessing shall be bestowed. But for those who delay, the opportunity may slip away." The birds shivered with excitement. A blessing from the goddess! It was an honor beyond anything they had ever dreamed of. "But why did she mention being on time?" murmured the crow, tilting his head. "Surely, the goddess will wait for all of us." The cuckoo, known for his carefree nature, laughed. "There's no rush. The forest is wide and the sky is vast. We can go whenever we feel like it." The peacock, always proud and eager, fluffed his white feathers. "I shall arrive first. If there is a gift, I must have the best one. As the day passed, some birds prepared carefully. The early risers, like the lark and the sparrow, made plans to leave before sunrise. The disciplined ones, like the eagle and the swan, took the goddess's words seriously and set their minds on punctuality. However, there were others who dismissed the importance of time. The crow, the cuckoo, and a few other carefree birds believed they had plenty of time. The goddess would never punish us, they thought. Surely, she loves all her children equally. Little did they know, their choices would determine their fate. Chapter 3: The Journey to the Heart of the Forest. As the night deepened, the moon bathed the forest in silver light, and the birds settled in their nests. Yet, sleep did not come easily. Excitement filled the air. The diligent birds, like the sparrow, the lark, the eagle, and the dove, prepared themselves. They roost early, knowing they had to rise before dawn. They reminded one another of the goddess's words, "Do not be late." Meanwhile, other birds, like the crow and the cuckoo, took the invitation lightly. "Why rush?" the cuckoo yawned. "The sun has barely set. There's plenty of time." The night passed, and soon, the first golden rays of dawn stretched across the sky. A cool morning breeze rustled through the trees, signaling that the time had come. One by one, the birds who had prepared well set off toward the heart of the forest, where the goddess awaited them. The eagle soared powerfully through the sky, his sharp eyes scanning the land. The hummingbird darted swiftly, her tiny wings beating like a whisper of wind. The swan glided gracefully over rivers, while the lark sang a cheerful tune as she flew. But the journey was not easy. The heart of the forest lay deep within the woodland, beyond towering trees, across flowing rivers, and past thick vines that twisted like sleeping serpents. Some birds had to fly over mountains, while others had to navigate dark caves and dense foliage. The birds who had set out early had plenty of time to travel carefully. They rested when needed, drank from fresh streams, and continued their journey with energy and excitement. But those who had taken the invitation lightly still lay in their nests, fast asleep. The sun climbed higher. Time passed. At last, the first group of birds arrived at the sacred clearing where the forest goddess stood. She was a breathtaking sight. Her flowing gown shimmered with the colors of the sky. Her hair wove through the air like the branches of ancient trees, and her eyes sparkled with wisdom older than time itself. She smiled at the birds who had arrived. "You have come," she said gently. "You have respected my call. For that, you shall be rewarded." The birds, their hearts racing with anticipation, waited as the goddess raised her hands. A great change was about to begin. But far away, still in their nests, the late birds were just beginning to stir. Chapter 4: The First Birds Receive Their Colors. The forest goddess stood tall in the clearing, surrounded by the birds that had arrived on time. The sunlight filtering through the trees cast a golden glow around her, making her presence even more divine. The birds, still dressed in their pure white feathers, stood in eager silence. Their hearts beat with anticipation. What would the goddess do? What kind of blessing awaited them? With a gentle smile, the goddess raised her hands, and a soft breeze rustled through the trees. The wind carried a mysterious energy, a magic older than time itself. Then, the air around her shimmered, and from her hands emerged streams of dazzling colors, deep blues like the ocean, fiery reds like the setting sun, golden yellows like the brightest flowers, and emerald greens like the freshest leaves. The birds gasped in awe. Never before had they seen such magic unfold before them. The colors swirled in the air like living rivers of light, each glowing with warmth and beauty. "You have honored my call," the goddess spoke, her voice gentle yet powerful. "You have arrived with discipline and respect. As a reward, I shall grant you the beauty of color, so that you may shine like the world around you." One by one, the birds stepped forward, and as the goddess touched them, their white feathers transformed. The parrot, curious and intelligent, was blessed with bright green feathers and a beak kissed with red. "You shall spread the beauty of language, mimicking sounds and bringing laughter wherever you go." The peacock, proud and elegant, received feathers of dazzling blue and shimmering green. "Your beauty shall be unmatched, and your tail will carry the patterns of the universe itself." The kingfisher, swift and sharp-eyed, was adorned in blue and orange. "You will dance over the rivers, diving with precision, reflecting the sky and the earth in your feathers." The flamingo, graceful and poised, turned a soft pink. "You shall wade in the waters, standing tall and peaceful, a symbol of harmony." Bird after bird stepped forward, each receiving a unique set of colors. The golden oriole gleamed like the sun. The blue jay took on the color of the sky. The robin's breast turned a warm red, like the heart of a fire. The birds rejoiced, flapping their newly colored wings, singing in happiness. They admired one another, amazed at how beautiful they had become. But as the sun climbed higher in the sky, the goddess's expression changed. She turned her gaze toward the horizon, her eyes filled with quiet expectation. "Where are the others?" she murmured. "The ones who have yet to arrive?" Far beyond the clearing, in the distant corners of the forest, the late birds were just beginning to stir from their sleep, unaware of the gift they were about to miss. Chapter 5: The Latecomers Stir. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the birds that had arrived on time reveled in their newfound beauty. They admired their colorful feathers, preened their wings, and sang joyful songs. The forest shimmered with their vibrant presence. But far away, deep in the trees, the birds who had overslept were just beginning to stir. The crow, resting lazily on a branch, stretched his wings and yawned. "What a fine morning," he muttered, blinking at the sun. He had paid little attention to the goddess's instructions the night before and had slept without a care. The cuckoo, nestled comfortably in his hidden nest, groggily opened one eye. "Is it morning already?" he mumbled. "The meeting must still be far off. There's no need to hurry." The vulture, always slow and patient, glanced at the sky and shrugged. "It's not as if the goddess will leave," he muttered. "She will surely wait for all of us." Some birds, like the sparrow and the eagle, had taken the goddess's words seriously and had left at dawn. But the late birds had dismissed the urgency, convinced they had plenty of time. Now, as they finally took flight, they noticed something strange. As they soared through the sky, they saw flashes of color below them. The birds that had arrived earlier, once as white as they were, now gleamed with brilliant shades of blue, red, yellow, and green. The peacock's shimmering tail trailed behind him like a painting come to life. The parrot's emerald feathers glowed in the sunlight. The flamingo waded through the waters, her pink plumage reflecting in the ripples. The late birds gasped in shock. "What happened?" The crow squawked, his voice hoarse. "Why do they look different?" "Did the goddess do this?" the cuckoo asked, his heart suddenly pounding. A wave of unease spread among the latecomers. The meeting had already begun. The goddess had already started granting her gifts. Had they made a terrible mistake? Flapping their wings in haste, they pushed forward, desperate to reach the heart of the forest before it was too late. but time had passed, and the goddess had warned them, "Do not be late." Would she still welcome them? Would they still receive her blessing? The late birds did not know, but as they flew faster, dread began to creep into their hearts. They had taken the goddess's words lightly, and now they feared they would pay the price. Chapter 6. The Goddess's Disappointment. The forest goddess stood in the sacred clearing, surrounded by the birds that had arrived on time. She watched them with pride as they fluttered their newly colored wings, singing songs of joy. The once white forest birds had transformed into dazzling creatures, each carrying the hues of nature itself. But as she looked beyond the clearing, her expression grew serious. Many birds were still missing. The sun had already climbed high into the sky. The time for the meeting was nearly over, yet some of her children had not arrived. A soft sigh escaped her lips. She had given them fair warning. As she gazed toward the horizon, the late birds finally appeared. In the distance, she saw dark shapes soaring toward her: crows, cuckoos, vultures, and other careless birds who had ignored her call until it was nearly too late. They flapped their wings desperately, their white feathers still untouched by magic. Panic filled their hearts as they saw the goddess standing tall, her brilliant aura fading as if the magic she had prepared was already dispersing. The crow was the first to land. Bowing his head, he cawed nervously, "O divine goddess, forgive us for our delay. We have come for your blessing." The cuckoo followed, chirping quickly, "Yes, we're here now. Surely we have not missed our chance." The goddess's eyes, once warm with kindness, now held a quiet sadness. She did not speak immediately. Instead, she gazed at them for a long moment, as if deciding what to do. "You have arrived," she finally said, her voice calm but firm. "But you did not heed my words. I called upon all the birds at dawn. I gave you time to prepare. I warned you not to be late." The late birds shuffled uncomfortably. None of them could meet her gaze. The goddess continued, her voice filled with wisdom. "Punctuality is a sign of respect. It is a sign of responsibility. The world rewards those who act with discipline. But you, my children, have taken my words lightly. And now, the blessing I had prepared is no longer the same." The late bird's heart sank. A dreadful silence filled the air. Would the goddess refuse them her gifts entirely? Would they remain plain and colorless forever? The crow and the others trembled as they awaited her judgment. Then, the goddess slowly raised her hands. "The gift of color has already been given," she said. "But you shall still receive a mark of this day, a reminder of the lesson you have learned." As her magic swirled once more, the late birds felt a change begin. But unlike the early birds, their transformation did not bring vibrant colors. Instead, their once white feathers darkened, shadows creeping across their bodies like ink spreading through water. The crow's feathers turned completely black, as dark as the night sky. The cuckoo's body darkened, though his throat retained a slight paleness. The vulture's wings took on dull, dusty shades, lacking the brilliance of the other birds. Each late bird received a color, but not the bright, glorious hues of those who had arrived on time. Instead, they bore the marks of their tardiness. A hush fell over the clearing. The late birds looked at themselves, realization dawning upon them. This was their fate. This was their consequence. The lesson had been taught. Chapter 7. The Weight of Their Mistake. The late birds gazed at their darkened feathers, their hearts heavy with regret. The crow flapped his wings, trying to shake off the blackness, but it remained. The cuckoo peered at his dull plumage, feeling a deep sorrow. The vulture, though large and strong, lowered his head in shame. The birds who had arrived on time watched in silence. They had received dazzling colors, while their tardy brethren had been marked with darkness. A lesson had been learned, but at what cost? The goddess looked at the latecomers with kindness, but also with firm wisdom. "The world is fair," she said. "Those who act with discipline are rewarded. Those who delay must face the consequences. But even in consequence, there is purpose." The late birds listened, their hearts open to her words. Chapter 8. A Purpose for Every Bird. The goddess stepped forward, her aura glowing softly. "Though your feathers are dark, do not despair," she said. "The world has a place for all. Even the blackness you now bear serves a purpose." She turned to the crow. "You will be a bird of wisdom. You will teach lessons of survival and intelligence. Your dark feathers will blend with the shadows, allowing you to thrive where others fear to tread." The crow, though saddened by his appearance, nodded in understanding. She turned to the cuckoo. "Your voice will remain beautiful, a reminder that even those who arrive late can still bring joy. But you will lay your eggs in the nests of others, for your delay today shows you are not ready to build your own." The cuckoo shivered at this truth, but accepted it. She faced the vulture. "You will be a bird of patience. You will clean the earth, removing what is old so new life can flourish. Your role will be unglamorous, but essential." The vulture bowed his head. One by one, the goddess assigned each late bird a role. They had lost the brilliance of color, but they had gained meaning in their existence. Chapter 9. The New Order of the Birds. The forest had changed. The birds with bright colors now danced among the trees, filling the world with beauty. The ones marked with darkness took their places in the cycle of nature, playing roles that were just as important. The peacock spread his dazzling tail, admired by all. The eagle soared high, his golden feathers gleaming as a ruler of the skies. The robin's red chest became a symbol of warmth and life. But the crow, though dark, became a symbol of intelligence. The cuckoo's call echoed through the forest, a song of both beauty and deception. The vulture soared with patience, his presence a reminder of life's cycle. Balance had been restored. The goddess had been fair. Chapter 10. The Final Words of the Goddess. As the birds settled into their new lives, the goddess prepared to leave. "Remember this day," she said, her voice carrying through the trees. "Remember that time is precious. Those who value it will always find greatness. Those who waste it will find themselves left behind." The birds bowed their heads, absorbing her wisdom. And with that, the goddess faded into the mist, her presence forever lingering in the heart of the forest. From that day onward, birds carried their colors, or their darkness, with pride. They knew that the choices they made shaped their destinies. The world had been painted, and nature had been set in order. And so, the legend of the forest goddess lived on. Moral of the story: punctuality and discipline are rewarded. Those who value time and act with responsibility are often rewarded with success and unique opportunities.